Well, I proceeded to be invited into a program I knew nothing about, and they started testing me on certain, I had what they call a psychic test with cards.
Mm-hmm.
And I laughed, Art, because sitting there, I'm saying, don't you understand, if you're looking at the card, I can get the information from you.
So
and they looked at me and said, okay, well, this experiment's over.
So in other words, you can read minds.
They threw it out. It's not reading minds. They throw the information out. In other words, if someone's thinking on something...
In other words, you could hear them, and all they needed to do was confirm that you were able to hear what they were saying.
Or thinking or visualizing.
Telepathically, or some form of remote viewing or communication, whatever the hell it is, right?
Right, whatever the name they use.
So they perceived you as having a talent for this kind of communication.
A perceived talent, yes. And they were testing me on that. That went on for about 3 months until they asked me to pop a balloon.
To pop a balloon?
To pop a balloon. A very simple experiment.
You mean with your mind?
Yes.
I didn't take it you meant with a pin.
No, that's easy. And
you can pop a balloon with your mind?
With the right concentration and the right focus, yes. In fact, I could give you analogies and physical people in the martial arts field that can do the same thing, Art. It's a common practice among certain cultures. It's not well known in the United States.
Vance,
yes.
Your name rang a big bell with me because I think years ago I interviewed you.
Yes, you did.
And what I vaguely recall from that interview is that you were a military enlisted rank person in Europe who literally went AWOL, and ended up in Florida, and all of this was over a Ouija board incident. Is that roughly correct?
You have part of the pieces, yes.
What am I missing?
That Ouija board was part of it, yes, but there are other things that were going on at the time. And we, because of our position, had certain accesses to information. In that interview, we also talked about the Gulf War, and that was all prepared and set up in many ways. And that we weren't the only ones that knew that. So yes, that was the interview, and we were given certain predictions, certain events, that we had to research close to 1,500 pages of notes, on top of other things that we had been working with in Augsburg, is the place where we were at. And that's 6 soldiers that did that.
I remember the wire reports about that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a big story in and the wire services and the networks all covered it about you guys who went AWOL out of the blue. And then, like so many stories of that sort, it died kaboom.
Yes.
Like that.
It did. It's like an axe fell on it and cut off.
Let me interrupt here, okay? When this was all going down, I was in Virginia. I was consulting with one of your radio colleagues, Art. We won't need to mention the name, but it was another network.
Okay.
And the Gulf War was, going on. And this story flared briefly. 6 military, enlisted personnel in key sensitive intelligence positions.
Yes.
Suddenly going AWOL.
I remember.
Showing up in Florida, being arrested. And everyone who was watching this with any interest thought they're toast, their history.
Mm-hmm.
What makes this so astonishing is that Vance Davis tonight is a free man sitting in Phoenix, Arizona. His colleagues are all free. They were cashiered out with honorable discharges.
Yeah, the military somehow did this giant turnaround, and the whole thing got dropped, and to this day, nobody knows why. Vance?
This is why I had to smile last night when Ed Dames said, well, if your source was telling you anything, he'd be in Leavenworth, because that trick has already been tried.
You did go to jail, right, Vance, for a while?
Yeah, for 21 days.
21 days.
And we were basically told on the 21st day that we were going to be released by order of the Joint Chiefs. And President Bush at the time.
And President Bush. All right, Vance, why?
One, there's several reasons that it could be, Art. As the government still keeps very close mouth. Although a certain...
Yeah, but I'm not asking the government. I'm asking you.
Yeah. My impression and belief at that time, then I'll answer you at this time now that has changed, was that they did not want it to go to trial.
Because?
They would have to release and basically prove everything we got as false.
And it wasn't. There were security issues that made them so strong. That made them drop the whole thing like that, and they did drop it. I remember.
Oh, they dropped it like a 10-pound ball.
Yeah.
And
the whole thing ended as a mystery. And I take it that you can't tell me what the security items are that caused them to drop this, or can you?
I only have, Art, to be honest with you, I only have my perceptions of why. We do know that President Bush was in meetings with the Joint Chiefs and his cabinet when they were told to basically get us out of there, to release it and drop the whole thing, to leave it to the public mind.
Yeah, but you must know.
I have my ideas, yes, sir.
Are these things that if you were to now discuss, you would go back to jail?
I don't believe so, because I think someone or a group of someone's in the government wants this country to survive.
Okay, then what is it?
I think that we foresaw and were told and actually saw certain actions going on, that this country was slowly being sold out, brought out of democracy into a total different avenue of thought, which I call fascism. Socialism, fascism.
I will understand what fascism is, but
okay.
What specific things did you see or know that would have caused them to drop this whole thing? What?
I think that we were given, and it's a long story, Art, we were given the whole icon of events through our security accesses, through other avenues of information and of intelligence, confirmed through other officers that there was a whole distinct long-term plan to set into motion starting in 1990 to bring about a new power into this world if it could be done. And the one sticking point was that the United States was blocking that move, and they had to move to knock down the United States from within. And they give us up on, and then some of the things have occurred to point to the economic, the political, the social, and among other things, even the earth changes.
Did you have, are you suggesting that you had information about a virtual coup d'etat in the United States?
Yes. And it's so quiet that the public is very unaware because of all the stuff going on over the past 8 years.
Well,
which I call shadows.
Look, what would have stopped everybody from considering you to be a raving lunatic if you'd have made this stuff public? In other words, it was so strong and so important that they dropped their prosecution of you and the others involved in all of this. This is a serious issue.
Yeah, very serious.
Art, you are asking the most important question of the evening. The reason that I have paid close attention to Vance Davis when he came to me at that meeting years later and identified himself as one of the Gulf Breeze Six, the key question on my mind was the question you're asking the nation tonight: why are you outside walking around?
Yeah. That's what, and even
the very fact
I'm more directly asking. I'm asking now, what specifically, in terms of evidence, did Vance and or his colleagues have that was so heavy that the government dropped the whole matter? There must have been something in the category of what we would call hard evidence.
Let me venture a speculation based on completely separate investigation. Remember, we've come at this now from a totally separate venue.
Yeah, but
right?
why not just ask Vance?
Well, I don't think Vance knows. I mean, Vance and I have discussed this.
Let me give you a scenario, Richard,
okay,
and Art, and for you guys to mull on.
We're coming up on a break here.
Yes, we can carry it on. Let's say it deals with the game of Cold War. In the game of war, in what I call the game of kings and queens.
All right. Well, that's all fine and well, but rather non-specific. We're going to take a break here. When I come back, I'm going to be looking for a specific item so serious the government literally dropped your case like a hot potato. It's an important question. We'll be right back.